tobacco, why to quit. So myself Prabhat, I'm a faculty working at Center for Addiction Medicine, Nimans. And the reason I gave my email ID is that all the slides are basically can be reproduced as a whole or with the acknowledgement to the Nimans. And any modification or any change you want to do, please let us know. Otherwise, it's a copy free. I don't have anything to disclose in the presentation. What I'm going to do in next half an hour is I'll start with the problem statement. Then I'll talk about effects of tobacco use, and then I'll speak about addictive power of tobacco, benefits of quitting, and I'll conclude. Now, there is no other psychoactive drug that affects the brain chemistry as much as nicotine. Reducing or quitting tobacco may be the hardest challenge a smoker has ever faced. But a compassionate and positive support will greatly enhance the tobacco user's chances of success. I thought we focus in India. Now, in India, 35% adults, including both gender, use tobacco. Majority of users smokeless tobacco, and nearly 1 in 2 adult males and 1 in 5 adult females are using some form of tobacco. And if you look at the table here, in the smoking percentage among males are 24, whereas smokeless is 33. So definitely smokeless people using smokeless tobacco is much higher than smoking. And in female also, although the smoking is pretty less number, but smokeless is very high. 2 in 5 adults in rural areas and 1 in 4 in urban areas use tobacco. So basically, although the usage of tobacco is more in rural areas compared to urban areas. Now, smoking reduces the median survival rate by 6 to 8 years. Smokers, as compared to with non-smokers, suffer chiefly from tuberculosis, respiratory, vascular, and neoplastic diseases. In India, 1 people die every 40 seconds because of tobacco-related problem. And I mean, the most difficult part is that deaths due to tobacco are likely to be more than the double between 1998 to 2030. Now, you can see a footer below. That is my reference for almost all the slides. And this is a book from WHO's CRO. It's available online free. The book name is Helping People Quit Tobacco, a manual for doctors and dentists by Professor Pratibha Murthy, Dr. Murli Mohan, and Dr. Hiramat. So I will urge all of you to download and have the books. Look at the common forms of tobacco used in India and Southeast regions, mostly BDs, cigarettes, cheroot, and we all know that smokeless forms of different types. That chewing tobacco, raw tobacco, the tobacco used for dental paste, and snuff. So I think I'm pretty sure most of you are aware of this fact. This I thought interesting to see, because the reason I wanted to put this slide, I mean, it is well known when there is a tobacco problem among healthcare professional, the chance of delivering its tobacco services is less. So if you look at this survey, which is done predominantly in the Southern East Asia, and look at the percentage of dental students using tobacco, in India, let's see, 11%, similar medical students, 13%, definitely much higher in Nepal and Myanmar, where 28+%. And look at the intervention. So almost similar, 10% or 10 to 12% of the dental students and around 22% of medical students had learned how to use the tobacco cessation techniques among their patients. And also another trend that comes out in this whole table is the poorer the country, higher the tobacco use. Probably look at Sri Lanka, which is definitely health indices are pretty high, and the tobacco is much lesser. But in general, it looks like a trend. So if I summarize, nearly 1 in 3 to 4 third-year dental and medical students in Bangladesh smoke cigarette. The survey was done on third-year dental students. Both cigarette smoking and use of other tobacco products is high among dental and medical students in Nepal. About 1 in 4 dental students in Myanmar smoke cigarette, and 1 in 6 medical students uses other forms of tobacco. And the last point, tobacco use among health professionals is an important barrier to deliver the service. So again, one thing is very clear. As a health professional, all of us need to be tobacco free before we could definitely effectively deliver the services. Now coming to the why you need to quit. The risk of death from tuberculosis was 6.3 times higher In other respiratory illnesses, 3.7 times, vascular causes 1.7 times, and neoplastic causes twice. So there is definite evidence of smokers dying or suffering more than the non-smokers. If you come to specifics a little bit, uh, look at tuberculosis. Now, its infection, progression and development of disease, compliance to treatment, its outcome and mortality, all each and everything gets affected by and worse in the tobacco users than non-tobacco users. And current smoking double the risk of tuberculosis. Coming to cardiovascular disease, odds of acute myocardial infarction in those smoking more than 10 BDs is around 4 to 4 times. Now, smokers 3 to 6 times compared to non-smokers. So whether you smoke BD or a person smokes cigarette, the risk almost 3 to 4 times, thrice or quadruple than the non-smokers. So this is one of the very specific condition which is associated with the smoking. That is your thromboangiitis obliterans TAO, where also there basically means there is less blood supply to the peripheries, extremities, to the legs. So here you can see 34 times more likely in person smoking more than 20 BDs, 7 times who smokes more 11 to 20 BDs, and 4 times. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is that this is such a severe condition, and any amount of cigarette or BDs you take, person takes, is likely to suffer. The right side you can see the early part of gangrene, and 3 fingers, lateral 3 fingers of the leg has gone, and obviously there is a severe ulceration followed with gangrene. So these are again shows the significance of smoking and disease. I thought briefly I'll mention about this association of smoking and cardiovascular disease, its mechanism. The reason being, this is one of the major morbidity. Now, what smoking does, it damages the endothelial lining, narrow the arteries, impair the blood flow, reduce arterial elasticity, and increase risk of ruptures. So, the damage to the endothelial lining is a crucial in case of smoking, which further complicates other things. It increases the risk of thrombosis because it increases the adhesiveness of the platelets. So the blood gets thrombosed early. The almost third point, which means there is a because of carbon monoxide of smoking, it leads to formation of carboxyhemoglobin that leads to endothelial destruction, and it has a impact on the lipid profile, whereas there is increase in cholesterol, triglyceride, LDL, VLDL, and other parameters. Similarly, if you come to the CNS stroke, smoking increases the risk of stroke by 2 to 4 times. Now, women who are on oral contraceptive pill and smoke have 20 times risk of a coronary artery disease. It's a substantially high. Briefly about respiratory diseases, I can see the right side and X-ray. So there is increased bronchitis, bronchiolitis, influenza, pneumonia. A common condition is a COPD, that is chronic obstructive pulmonary dyspnea, where there is chronic cough, sputum, breathing difficulties, and emphysema. The right side picture shows the emphysematous bullae in the low basal part of the lung. Tobacco impairs ciliary cavity and mucociliary clearance. There is hypertrophy of mucosal gland, and it inhibits the protease enzyme. Now, this is one of the areas where the strongest association has come independently. There are host of cancers which risk increases. I will deal few cancers which much higher. Lung, smoker, in case smoker, the 10 times high risk, it has lung cancer, larynx 20 times. This probably my other colleagues in the dental department, they can tell better, but I'll summarize. 10 times higher oropharyngeal cancer among male smoker and 5 times female smoker. Smoking has been independently associated with oropharyngeal cancer apart from oral HPV infection. 90% of oral cancers are tobacco users. Direct contact with carcinogen in smokeless tobacco is one of the cause. And at the end, the concomitant alcohol use increases the risk of developing oropharyngeal cancer. Right side, you can see the gentleman with cancer in the cheek, and below photo is for cancer of the hard palate and alveolus. Now, I thought I'll talk about BD a little bit because BD is one of the things which has been very commonly used by our population. Now, studies from India has shown that BD smoker have twofold higher risk of developing oral cancer and 5 times high risk of developing cancer of the base of the tongue. So basically, threefold increase of hypopharynx, laryngeal cancer, esophageal cancer, lung cancer. So, I mean, BD is one of the most, apart from the other form of tobacco, BD is one of the most strongest association with the different cancers. Okay, now this part, although it looks others, but it doesn't mean that they're not significant. As you said, the first case, although the person was lady who had no serious physical problem, system problem, but his ill health, he's anemic, uh, premature aging, and some study has reported that smokers appeared up to 4.7 years older than non-smokers. Sexual dysfunction and impaired fertility. A study from China reported that 50% of the population who comes to for sexual dysfunction has a smoking problem. Reduced bone density, inflammatory bowel diseases, and different diseases of oral cavity and precancerous lesion. If I can summarize, these are the adverse effect with tobacco use. You can start from top to bottom. You can see the brain, strokes, skin, eye, ear disease, including medullary infection, psoriasis, cataract, macular degeneration. Respiratory system has cancer, tuberculosis, asthma, COPD, brittle bones, compromised immune system. I mean, one part I didn't deal is the pregnancy in babies. As Anirudh was speaking, that one of the reason our first patient was feeling very guilty that when she was carrying baby, that time she used to smoke. But fortunately, there is no miscarriage, nothing happened. But again, the risk is very high. Miscarriage, stillbirth, preterm delivery, low birth weight, then premature aging, oropharynx lesions, and we discussed already heart and circulatory lesions, hypertension, heart disease, heart attacks, coronary and other problems, and sexual and reproductive health issues. So there is host of all factors. I mean, there is no system that is not affected by tobacco, although it's one of the preventable cause. If I can, I thought this statistically it is very important. I have not taken the where the odds ratio are a little lesser, but definitely if you take odds ratio 1 means there is no difference. But a person who smokes, for him the risk of cardiac disease is almost 3 to 4 times. Sudden cardiac death is 2 to 4 times. Peripheral vascular disease is you can see the range 4 to 7 to for cigarette to 7 to 30 per BD, and for the COPD has 30. So 30 times is likely to get a smoker is likely to get a COPD. Tuberculosis 2.5 times, and look at lung cancer and larynx cancer so high. So then obviously macular degeneration. Now, if there is a very detailed odds ratio including all the condition in the reference book which I have quoted there. So you can definitely get, as per your speciality, you can take that condition. But definitely all cardiac system, respiratory system, cancer, all are significantly increases in the smokers. Okay, I thought I'll just why it happens like this. Now, because one the reason is that tobacco contains a lot of toxins, and there are more than 4,000 toxins, but at least 43 are well proven cancer-causing substances like acetone, arsenic, monoxide, hydrogen cyanide, cadmium. This is a small nice picture where you can see how the things that has been used to make a cigarette, and how is related to so many things, starting lighter fluid, ethanol, then you have hydrogen cyanide, candle wax, stearic acid. So many things are there, like batteries like cadmium. So lot of chemicals are involved in making a cigarette. If I can summarize, this is the chemicals in tobacco and their action. So nicotine, as you know, is the primary substance. It's a very powerful addictive drug. I'll come back in a couple of slides that why it is so powerful. It definitely physiologically causes increase in heart rate and blood pressure, has adverse effect on cardiovascular health. Carbon monoxide, that is smoke, it actually acts as a stress factor to precipitate cardiovascular disease. It combines with hemoglobin to form carboxyhemoglobin, which reduces the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood to different systems of the body. And hydrogen cyanide and acrolein works as a respiratory irritant and can paralyze ciliary movements, thereby increasing the risk of infection in the lung. Phenol works as an irritant and tuberculous chemical. And one of the most specific thing is lung carcinogen, the PAH, polyaromatic hydrocarbon, and TSNA, tobacco specific nitrosamine. As you know, nitrosamines are well known carcinogenic drugs. Again, I thought I'd come back to BD and some of the facts about the BD. Now, if you look at a BD contains 1/5 to 2/3 of the amount of tobacco in a cigarette. I think all of us agree BD is smaller size. And however, if you take weight for weight, BD contains higher nicotine concentration, that is almost 21.2 milligram percent, compared to commercial filtered cigarettes and unfiltered cigarettes. Again, tar levels of and the BDs are much higher, 45 to 50 milligram per 1 BD. So similarly, one study found that BDs produced approximately 3 times the amount of carbon monoxide and nicotine and 5 times the amount of tar as cigarettes. As with cigarette, tobaccos from the BDs contain many carcinogenic chemicals, specifically TSNA, that is tobacco specific nitrosamine. And there is no difference between cigarette, BD, and smokeless tobacco. All of them produces equal amount of TSNA, which are potent carcinogen. And BDs and chuttas have higher uranium content, and BD contains more than 1.5 times higher levels of carbon monoxide, ammonia, and other chemicals. So BD is. So I thought, in a lighter note, I thought something to discuss. Is there a hidden meaning to these names? And these are slides by Dr. Pankaj Chaturvedi. Now, this is a famous name of a cigarette, Downhill. Yeah, so basically it means downhill. Sorry, downhill. So before addiction, you are active and playing, but following addiction and different traumatic illness, and it can start from the ill health, weakness to anxiety, obliterants. You will end up in different conditions. Okay, this is a famous cigarette inspired by a surgical tool that is often used for smokers' lifetime. Right. Okay, this is again I think very common cigarette name. So you can see again it's a seizure. Again, again it indicates how. Okay, so so whether this the dirty yellow flecks over the teeth or regular tobacco uses. So, but again, right. So now just talk about passive smoking. I thought I'll just briefly talk about this because this is again a big issue. Now, this is also known as environmental tobacco smoke. Basically, it means involuntary inhalation of tobacco smoke by a non-smoker. So it can be two types, like left out smoke by a smoker in the flesh, or a mainstream smoke, or original smoke from burning cigarette, or side stream smoke. So the different types of this. Now, side stream smoke contains 3 times more nicotine and tar and 50 times more cancer-causing substances than the mainstream smoke. That again highlights the point that passive smoking is equally dangerous, and a pregnant woman exposed to it to have increased chance of like women who is smoking, abortion, fetal death, and delivery of low birth weight. So I think this is the most important question we will discuss now. We all of us learned that tobacco causes a lot of harm, involve all the systems, can cause to the as serious as cancer, to as less as ill health. But why people continue to take tobacco? So basically, the question is why tobacco is addictive. Okay, this is a quote from quitsmoking.com. I just thought I would drop by personally and congratulate you on your accomplishment. No one has ever quit smoking 17,000 times in 1 year before. So again, it depicts the point how difficult for a person to quit because of addictive nature. Again, just briefly, like if you can roughly calculate, it's 100 times more addictive than heroin and 1,000 times more than cocaine. And in the right side, you can see different proportion of users that become dependent. Let's say out of 100 people who started using some substance, there are 32% chance they could use for tobacco, whereas only 23 people heroin and cannabis is less. But that again means that tobacco has a very high propensity to get hooked to it. If I briefly summarize what is addiction and what it is. So addiction is basically it's a constellation of couple of symptoms. You can have personal, biological, and social. So personal, obviously, personal choice, personal choice. Then, if regular intake leads to a state where you are occupied or preoccupied with the smoke, or you anticipate that as soon as my thing is over, I need to have a smoke. So preoccupation, anticipation. Then biological vulnerability, where obviously genetics plays a role. Then there is a social situation and stress, environment, all these things comes to play. So now the only thing is that when you talk about addiction, there is something known as reward pathway. Now this reward pathway is by default natural to everybody, and which is there with everybody. And this normally reward pathway is activated by natural rewards like food, water, sex, or any activities and exercise. But now here what happens, a person when he starts nicotine, it gets activated, all right. But when the person continues to take nicotine, the nicotine hijacks the reward pathway. So if you look at this diagram, that brighter part is the reward pathway. This is a track which start from ventral tegmental area and extend to the nucleus accumbens. There is the areas, so basically it's a limbic lobe function, and but there is the extension to the prefrontal cortex, and and this path regulates the reward, pleasure, euphoria, motor function, decision making. So there is a constellation of not only reward, but also to decide whether I should take or not take, also controlled by this extension of this path. Now what it makes, now because it's connected to the prefrontal cortex, so decision making capacity gets impaired. So that means in spite of having difficulties or harm, you will continue. Because it's connected to hippocampus, which is the area of memory and learning, so emotion, and amygdala, which is emotional process. So if there is a stress or a difficulty, amygdala gets activated and it activates the reward pathway, and ultimately the person has to smoke to cut down. So stress plays a role. Similarly, memory plays a role in this. If I summarize this thing, so cigarette smoking is controlled by a receptor known as nicotinic acetylcholine receptor, which is associated with host of other behaviors and environmental cues, which is environment, attention, reward, learning, and memory and mood. Now, I just want to tell that, see, this is a natural receptor in the brain. So if a person have a smoke, definitely with activation of natural receptor, there will be increased attention and the learning, which is a natural path. But by repeated exposure, person gets addicted to the smoking. Also, to whole thing, there is a route of administration which makes things further complicated. Like the route of inhalation of smoking is it only takes 10 to 20 seconds to reach the brain. So it goes very fast, and this swift in transmission from lung to blood-brain barrier makes it more vulnerable. So it goes fast and troughs fast. So it gets eliminated from the body almost 2 to 3 hours, and next 6 to 8 hours out of the body. But the peak is achieves very fast, and because it troughs very fast, the cycle to take smoking continues. So sometimes they describe that it works like crack cocaine. So that's why you must have seen the people when there is a after let's say 1 to 2 hours of break of smoking, there will be a significant craving, and a person seeks out for the used tobacco. Now, when do you call it nicotine addiction or dependence? Probably you need to, as I've been mentioning before, you need to have a constellation of symptoms, and out of these 3 should be there for at least 1 year. So first is craving. There is a strong desire to use the nicotine. Withdrawal symptom, when person does not have smoke, he feels, or use tobacco, he feels irritable, restless, some sort of uneasiness. Increase in regular use of tobacco, used despite harm, difficulty in controlling use, and used despite the harmful effects. Now, if you come back to quitting tobacco, as I mentioned, it's one of the difficult tasks, but still, any point of time a person quit tobacco, it is beneficial to his health. If you look at, summarize the benefits of quit tobacco, you have 2. Short-term in the sense of well-being, and long-term, I will come back. But the important point I want to highlight here is make tobacco users aware of the benefits. that will be gained by cessation and not let the fear of withdrawal symptom cloud their understanding of the benefits. That is the whole point. In the beginning part of presentation, I highlighted the difficult, I mean, the effect of the tobacco, and if they quit, they get so much of benefit in every aspect of their life. This is a small example which is very effective. Now, if you stop smoking within 20 minutes, your blood pressure, pulse rates drops to normal. Oxygen level in the next 8 hours, oxygen level increases to normal, and carbon monoxide level drops the blood. As I mentioned before, when a person smokes regularly, the carbon monoxide increases and it hampers the carrying capacity of the hemoglobin to take the oxygen. Next 24 hours, chance of a cardiac or heart attack goes down. 48 hours, ability to smell taste improves. Walking becomes much easier. So there is a sense of wellness starts. And next 2 weeks to 3 months, blood circulation improves. No more, cold hand, cold feet, and lung functioning increase up to 30%. So next couple of months, coughing, sinus congestion, shortness of breath all decrease dramatically. And in one year, the risk of a cardiac disease, coronary heart disease, is cut to half. And 5 years, risk of stroke reduced to that of a non-smoker. Risk of cancer of the mouth, throat, and esophagus cut half. And risk of lung cancer also decreases. And interestingly, 15 years, if person able to continue to quit, then it's become like a non-smoker. So the point I want to tell you here is that at any point of time, person is willing to take a call to quit, and you should definitely intervene and provide intervention, irrespective of the stage of motivation. He is going to gain something out of that. So this can be used as another good psychological model, even for an unmotivated person to at least discuss issues. A few couple of slides I will close. Now, the key learning points what we discussed today: smoking and chewing and other forms of tobacco causes serious health problems. Practically every system of the body is adversely affected by the use of tobacco, and the mechanism of many of these effects has been understood very clearly now. Unlike in the past, where tobacco use, nobody used to advocate about tobacco use. I mean, people come with chest infection, will come with dental problem, will come with cardiac problem. Hardly any tobacco intervention is given, knowing the fact that that is one of the cause, preventable cause. But fortunately, with advancement, most of the etiologies has been explored. I have not gone to genetics and all deliberately. So educating people about the general risks from tobacco use and personalizing this risk, which is very crucial, helps in tobacco cessation. And the second point, as I have been mentioning again and again, the personalizing this risk to the individual. If you heard the first case, how Dr. Priyanka in his counseling session has personalized her weight gain and aging to her tobacco cessation. So each person is different, and personalizing this risk definitely helps. Now we have discussed about briefly short-term and long-term benefits of tobacco cessation. Risk for various diseases continue to reduce over the year with complete cessation. Even when there is established disease, let's say there is somebody has a cardiac problem, let's say somebody has a bypass, or let's say somebody is known hypertensive, but still the advantage of quitting. Now, not starting at all or quitting early are the best strategy to prevent tobacco-related harm. So, if that means if you see somebody and in history you got that person not using tobacco, never forget to congratulate him and tell that you have done the best decision not to start tobacco, or somebody has started and have quitted, or you need help, he's quitted. You should definitely acknowledge the effort he has made. Now, what is our responsibility as a healthcare professional? You can see the box there. In spite of having one of the easy to deliver service, in spite of having a cost-effective service, only 5% of the world's population has access to the comprehensive tobacco cessation service. In spite, it's a big public health problem. So, our job is to reduce tobacco use in the community by providing a clear and definite advice on the dangers of tobacco, as we have already discussed. Not only that, we should encourage tobacco cessation with proper advice and support and treatment.